I have questions.
You
Okay.
have questions.
Yeah. So
Safa as
obviously,
well. Hello and happy Father's Day. Good evening, Richard. Happy Father's Day to you. Are you still okay?
I'm okay. Happy Father's Day to you too.
Thank you.
I'm good. I'm back from Rostock. I had a event from the company I work for, and yeah, I had 2 nice days. Uh, we had a football tournament, and yeah, we finished third place out of
Not
20
bad.
teams. Yeah, not bad, not
How
that
many
bad.
teams? Sorry.
20.
20. Wow.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Mhm.
And you sent me a picture of the stadium of Hansa Rostock.
Yeah, I've been there. There's the evening event, so this get together after the tournament and eat something, dance to a little party. Yeah, it was in the VIP area in the Hansa Rostock
Mm.
Stadium, and it's
Mm.
quite nice there. Unfortunately, next season, yeah,
Mm.
third tier.
Yeah, getting relegated, but it's a nice stadium. Much better than the old one. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. And today I did see a lot of men walking around with handcrafts. Is it handcraft? Hand cards, I'm sorry. And lots of booze in there. Loud music, explaining loudly how they felt. And they all felt really good. And I saw a lot of dads like me doing something with their family because Father's Day is Family Day. Did you know that?
I know this since 2011.
Very good. So you're very, very well experienced. So today we're going to talk about key takeaways from the Hoffenheim game. We're going to have a look at a question that we received from Rodney, and who's asking who is our arch enemy, nemesis, who we consider that. And I'm going to explain to you why I find this really difficult to answer. And we're going to have a look at the preview new of our upcoming last home match versus SV Werder Bremen. So let's go. So once again, welcome to our little podcast, to this episode in our first season. And I would like to look back at the match versus Hoffenheim last Friday. It now looks like it's been a long time ago, but my key takeaway from this is very short. I know Richard kind of predicted a very high win. I'm not going to repeat it. I thought it was a 3-1 win, and watching the game, and especially in the beginning, I thought it was very well possible. I didn't think that Hoffenheim would score at all, and I don't want to sound conceited, but it's maybe the general feeling I had and the general feeling I got, and that's my key takeaway. Hello, guys. I'm so sorry to say this, but the season is pretty much over. It doesn't really matter, although I know we talked about the financial aspect, but we qualified for the Champions League, and it doesn't really matter if we're going to finish third, fourth, or fifth. It doesn't really matter if we get 69 points or less. The season is pretty much over. But to be honest, the only thing we need to talk about a little bit as well is Xavi Simons, his send-off, his yellow-red card. He's the only one to blame for it, but he's a very young player, outstanding player, but very young. And you could see this in this situation. Just a shame we can't see him in his last home match for this season in Leipzig, or maybe his last home match in front of the Leipzig crowd. But I find it even more tragic that Sava Schlager got injured. Not even a small injury. He might be back in December. And he's missing the Euros, and I feel really sorry for him. And it wasn't even a fight with another player. It was just self-inflicted because of I don't know what he did. Poor guy. So we really feel for him, really how hearts go out to him. These are the only things we need to talk about, to be honest. It wasn't a bad game. I thought it was all right, but it does feel like the season is pretty much over. And a 1-1 draw at the end is probably the right result. But it could have easily been a 1-0 win. A dreckige Auswärtssieg. I'm not going to translate that. So, Richard, I don't think you don't have anything more to add, but I think the season is pretty much over.
No, thank you. Not really. The only thing I would like to mention is, did you notice that the knee that was damaged or hurt, injured from Schlager was taped right before the game, and he didn't have that tape.
Really?
Last home match, and yeah, I have questions.
We
Okay.
have questions.
Yeah. So
Sava as well.
obviously, there must have been something during the training week or whenever that the staff might thought it would be a good okay or necessary to tape this knee, and then it's exactly that knee that get this terrible injury now that throws him out for months.
Mm.
Well, maybe it well, not maybe, definitely, it was not the best decision to send him out. Maybe it was close. We will never know. Maybe it was a game time decision if
Mhm.
he's okay to play or not, and maybe he by himself told the coaches, told the staff, I'm good to go. Maybe he overestimated himself a little bit, and now has to pay the price.
It's
It's
really
very sad.
interesting. It's really, really a shame. On the other hand, we shouldn't forget, still undefeated for numerous amounts of games. So it wasn't a loss. It was only the second draw in a long range of wins, but still it felt, I don't know. It didn't feel like a tough competitive game. And maybe because the intense game versus Borussia Dortmund, that great win, only happened a couple of, 6 days before that. We had the fresh comparison, but this one was rather, I don't know. Anyways, but we wish Xaver Schlager all the best. Hopefully he'll recover a little bit sooner. And, there's always the World Cup. I'm sure you guys are going to qualify. You are a pretty good team. Austria.
Even
Anyway,
more.
Sorry?
Excuse me. Yeah, even more now that they was able to keep their coach. So yeah, Ralf Rangnick is not joining Bayern München. This is crucial for Team Austria.
Exactly. We're not going to open up this topic, but it's very interesting through how many names they go at the moment, and Max Ebel. But let's leave that aside. Let's move on to the next question, because I found this really interesting. Rodney sent it to us from the States, and he said, who do we consider to be Leipzig's most heated rivalry? Which team would we love to see Leipzig beat 10-0? He said nil. That's not American. Isn't it 10-0? Anyway, every single time, no matter what the circumstances. And I thought, good question. We had a similar question from, I think, Justin in Canada a couple of months ago. And we threw out a Twitter survey, asked him who would be our, long-standing rival. And the team that won was Union Berlin. But still, it doesn't feel like we can answer this question in a traditional sense. Because in a traditional sense, you'll be looking at what is a derby? And that would be a sports event between two teams which are in the same area. Now, we do have teams in the same area as well. And if you look at derbies, you have many great examples, Barca Real, Lok versus Chemie here in Leipzig. Loads of great examples for that. But those derbies and those matches, competitions have been around for a long, long, long time. So there's a deep history to this. And both teams really accept the fact when they play each other that this is a special match. Like Borussia Dortmund playing Schalke 04, that is a special match. That is a derby. There's a long history of rivalry. And both accept that. So Schalke accepts that Dortmund is the nemesis and the other way around. And I remember, especially in the beginning, when RB Leipzig was playing those teams from our region in the third division, or third tier on the second Bundesliga. If we come to talk about Erfurt, Rot-Weiß Erfurt, or Erzgebirge Aue, Wismut Aue, and even Union Berlin. The media talked about this being a derby. And we got ferocious and fierce reactions from fans of those sides, from Aue, from Erfurt, from Union Berlin. What the heck are these journalists talking about? Because RB Leipzig is not a German club. It's an Austrian club. It's actually not even a club. It's a Konstrukt. But it's not considered as a club with whom they have a rivalry, because it never existed. This club just came in an artificial way. So it needs two to tango. So if you want to have a long-standing rival and a derby, you need the opposition to accept that and acknowledge that. And to be honest, we haven't got anybody. Nobody actually acknowledges the fact that this is like, that we are the long-standing rivals, that this is a special game, that it is a derby, especially not from our region, or, well, if we go further afield. You know where I do get this feeling sometimes that we have sort of derbies? It's in the Champions League. When we play clubs who don't really care that Red Bull is the owner, so to speak, of this club, or it's like a company-owned club. When we play City or when we play even Real, they don't care. They don't care. And PSG we met a couple of times. Remember when we went to a group stage and every time we met PSG, it almost felt a little bit like a derby. But it's not that I can recall this as a heated competition, and I would call these long-standing rivals who I want to beat every time. We need to apply different parameters for the different definitions. So after my long introduction, Richard, we established we can't really answer this in a traditional way. Maybe in 20, 30 years' time. Maybe if in 20, 30 years' time, RB Leipzig has been around and Union Berlin, for example, has been around, or, DHL Wernigerode has established a new club and come into the Bundesliga and smashed all the traditional clubs. We've been battling it out. It will take time. But how would you answer this question from Rodney right now, Richard?
Well, thank you. I think you explained it very well. You cannot really answer this in a traditional way. So I would like to answer this just sports wise. Leaving regional facts or history based facts aside, I think it's fair to say that Dortmund is our biggest rival. Recently, so because it's in my opinion not Bayern, so maybe not yet. So because and since we was promoted into the Bundesliga, we never really challenged them for the title,
True.
even wasn't that often in first place. So, but what we did always in every season was to challenge the clubs who were going for the second position in the league. And basically, it's more often than not Borussia Dortmund. And I do believe that the very first Bundesliga match we had, that enlightened some that there was some kind of spark in my opinion, and we won that 1-0, and they didn't like that, of course.
I
So
loved it.
and when we talked about in our preview before the Dortmund game, there has been a lot of important games and wins for both sides, crucial wins, cup win Dortmund. We won our more than one away game that was crucial, and we won 6 out of the last 7. And I deeply believe that the Borussia Dortmund supporters do recognize RBL as a rival as well in this sports wise way. So because this is okay, if we so yeah, I'm speaking out of maybe Dortmund supporters' perspective. Okay, so we are not able to be the champion this season, but we have to be able to land at the end of the season at least in front of RBL. And I'm damn sure that this is an aim and goal they are rooting for every season.
Very interesting, because I also forgot to mention one more aspect with this question. And I'm not sure if it applies to you, but when I talk to fans or when I hear them talking, a lot of the RBL supporters have their heart with another club. And these are those traditional and long-standing clubs like Schalke 04 or Borussia Mönchengladbach, Hamburger SV, even Borussia Dortmund. So some people I know who actually attend RB Leipzig games are actually also Borussia Dortmund fans. And I think this is something which is quite unique. And the way I explain this is, and I'm not sure if I'm right because you lived here during that time, but especially during East German times, you always had your own club in your city, which you might support, like Lokomotive Leipzig, Chemie Leipzig, BFC Dynamo, Karlsruhe Siena. But you were never able to travel to other clubs to see Bundesliga clubs like Borussia Dortmund, Bayern München. You would only see them occasionally, and if you got tickets at European Cup games, and that would be in the 70s and 80s, like Borussia Mönchengladbach, Bayern München. These days, those were the real famous ones. And the others you would just see on TV, because you could actually receive West German TV and you would watch the football show, Sportschau, the equivalent of Germany's match of the day, I suppose. And this has continued. So this is kind of an admiration and love for other clubs, which has lasted for many, many years. And especially after unification, when East German clubs weren't so successful and always in the Bundesliga, I think people in this region started to look at other clubs as well of the Bundesliga who were not in here. And all of a sudden in 2009, here comes RB Leipzig, something brand new, which 6 years, was it 6 years, maybe 7 years later, all of a sudden placed in top level of the Bundesliga. And all of a sudden you could see those teams like Bayern München coming to Leipzig and playing competitive matches. I remember an occasion, and I think we were still in the third tier, and we were playing in the cup stages, early stages, and we played Augsburg. We lost to Augsburg. And I overheard some fans really being excited about the fact that one day, maybe in 2-3 years' time, Bayern Munich has to come to Leipzig and play here. So I think, especially in the beginning, in the couple of first seasons, maybe that even continues today, people are still admiring the other clubs as well. Of course, with all the hate and abuse we get from other supporters and not being respected, not being accepted. I think this is diminishing, or this is getting less and less a little bit. But still, there is this long-standing tradition. So from that perspective, it is really hard to point out who is your long-standing rival, because there are so many clubs that you as an RB Leipzig fan still support, because you have done this since your childhood for more than 20, 30, 40 years. And that is unique. And RB Leipzig has burst onto the scene quite late, 2009, into a league which was already well established, but like a good startup, they shook the market upside down and disrupted everything. And now here they are to stay. So I would agree with you, Richard, because if I look at how I react during games and how I feel the intensity of matches versus Dortmund, it's there from the beginning. Even before the beginning, I'm really looking forward to those matches, and damn it, I want to see them beat every time. And you know why? Because a lot of people remember this first away game. It's not only that first home match that we won 1-0 and Naby Keita. And thank you to the Scotsman who provided the cross. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry, but he was great. He played for Bremen later. Anyway,
Brooke.
Thank you. Yeah, how could I forget? It was that first away trip where RB Leipzig supporters got attacked. And I bet you amongst those supporters, there were a lot of them who were actually fans of Borussia Dortmund. And they could never believe that anything like this would happen. So this probably started that long-standing rivalry for me. I do love it when the other teams get beat as well. But most animated and intense, it's really versus Dortmund, even more than versus Bayern Munich, because it's like what you said. Bayern Munich, we never really challenged. Yes, I loved the 3-0 win in Munich in the Super Cup final, but the Super Cup final is it's nice to have.
Yeah, it's a cupcake. It's sorry, mate. It's a cupcake.
It's a trophy, mate. It's a trophy. But when it counts, when you play Bayern Munich and you draw or you even lose at home, yes, you're angry. But it's like, okay, it's Bayern Munich. And the same with Bayer Leverkusen this year. We really acknowledge that. I really acknowledge that they're a really good team. They played on a similar level as Manchester City in the Champions League over here as well. So it was no surprise that they did win in stoppage time. And yes, I was angry, but it's not as if Borussia Dortmund would have beaten us in the 93rd minute because Marco Reus scored, or Hummels, or one of those other great humble bumblebees. So yeah, I would say Borussia Dortmund as well, but closely followed by Union Berlin, just because I'm not going to say the word, but that's less from a sporting point of view. It's because we get so much hate and abuse from Union Berlin. But I do respect what they actually accomplished over the last year. So, but yeah, I'll go with Borussia Dortmund as well.
I would like to add something. So before we maybe move on to another topic, there is some little more grain of salt. Hans-Joachim Watzke once, left. As you know, he was in that famous German football show, which is on TV every Sunday. It's the Doppelpass.
It's a show
And
for Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund, basically, isn't it?
yeah, this is exactly that show. And it was, I don't know, 1 or 2 seasons before RBL finally was promoted into the first year in the Bundesliga. And I don't know what was the topic and what we were talking about, but what I do remember is that he was very disrespectful into the
Mm.
direction of RBL, and I would like to quote him, and he said, "Yeah, something like Rasenschach Leipzig." Or what they are called. So that was his words, and that was well recognized. And of course, yeah, was loved for that statement by whole football Germany and especially Dortmund supporters. But this is this little story around all those sports and results and matches we played in recent years. And I do believe that yeah, Dortmund is it's fair to say that's the biggest rival.
So there you go. Hopefully, Rodney, we were able to answer your question. Let us know who you think is the arch enemy of RB Leipzig. Who is a long-standing rival? Who would you like to see get beat 10-0 or 12-0 every time, and why? Drop us some comments in the show in your show notes, or send us an email. We'll come to those contact details later. We would love to hear from you. So, very interesting. Thank you very much, Rodney. Let's move on to our last topic for today, and that is, of course, our last match at home. And I'm very happy to report that I can actually go to my little seat in Sector D before I move to under the roof on the other side. But hey, that's next year. So my farewell Sector D tour continues, and I might be able to get you another nice clip like the one with Jesko versus Dortmund. So what's installed for us this time, Richard?
Introducing our next opponent, their Gegner check.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see what Coach Rose gets out of his head or his mind, how to replace Xavi, because you mentioned it earlier. He is out for one game to this double yellow he received versus Hoffenheim, and of course we talked about it too. Xaver Schlager is not around, maybe until December. So there are two vacant jobs to fulfill by other players. So next man up twice here, and I expect him to start Elmas instead of Xavi, and I really look forward to that.
Me too.
And Seibel to replace Schlager in that match versus Hoffenheim,
And
who
he was
did a
good.
yeah, it was good. He did a good job. He surprised me at least. So because I'm not the biggest Seibald fan because I think he never showed that he's worth 20 million or more. And okay, maybe it's fair to say that he didn't get a chance to shine. So maybe
But
now
maybe but maybe needs more time. We had quite a few players who needed the first season, and then they were just much better, like David Raum,
yeah,
for example.
yeah, maybe, but when he had his matches, he was either not visible to me, or it was bad. Here I remember this one Wolfsburg, and no, not this Wolfsburg match. I remember this our DFB Pokal
B-
match versus
Wiesbaden. Okay, that was
Wiesbaden.
horrible.
Oh my gosh! I I thought he played his very first football game. Not lying.
Yeah, to be honest, Marco just explained the rules to him before the game, so he's struggling a bit.
Yeah, and how to lace
I
his
was
shoes.
glad he didn't want to carry the ball for 10 yards, just get the first down.
So yeah,
But look, sorry, but when he played Manchester City versus Manchester City, I thought he was really good, and that was, I think, the game after or a couple of weeks after.
it's more likely than not that I'm not fair to him. So, but he will now have.
That's okay.
You
He earns a lot more money than both of us in our
Yeah.
whole lifetime.
Yeah, true. So maybe now it's his time now to shine in the last home match versus Bremen, and in my opinion, very likely too that he's will be in a starting lineup versus Frankfurt 1 week later, and
Mhm.
then I think he will get a lot of more duties to fulfill with Team Austria during the Euros.
Yeah.
Maybe that will help him getting better on that very high level.
Is it a little bit that he needs to mature a little bit? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah.
Maybe, but what I think is that he needs is like 10 kilo more muscles.
Okay. Well, he's got the summer for that.
Mhm.
We have McDonald's or Burger King.
Yeah, and then no, it's this one Bundesliga player who joins McDonald's more often than he should. And you know,
Why did I see him straight away? Do you know when he came on the pitch in the Dortmund game, the whole ground was shaking.
it was like a rampage.
But he's still slimmer than I am, I think.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not. But anyway, maybe he's taller than you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely is taller. And I didn't want to disagree with him when I meet him out on the street. You know.
No,
Didn't wanna have a
I would,
debate. No.
I would change. I would change Pavewalk.
Yeah, me too. So interesting take on Seiwald. I'm looking forward to seeing Elmas. Do you expect any other changes in, or what kind of effect does it have if Marco Rose now has to change quite a few players? Because we had a steady starting 11 for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks actually.
Yeah, we saw very high level of cohesion in my opinion. And there was this in Germany we would say blindes Verständnis. So it's maybe
I
kind
love
of
it. Mm.
you don't have to think about where to play the ball, and you don't have to look what your teammates are doing because you executed this 100,000 times during the trainings and in competitive matches. And this balanced starting 11 is now needs to be repuzzled again. And I I wouldn't be surprised if we would see this level of playing style together as a team that we saw in the games before the Hoffenheim match, so especially versus Dortmund and those matches before. It was very very creative football. I loved how they played, and it was very mature as well. And I think we have to drop down our expectations a little bit, at least for that match. And there was some German philosophy footballer or football philosopher who once said, that in German alles verkompliziert sich mit der Anwesenheit des Gegners. So everything gets a little more complicated when the opponent gets involved. And now Bremen comes to town, and Bremen is like a jamboree bag for me. So remember when they traveled to Munich? Yeah, they hadn't won at Munich since the Potato Wars, and then there was the worst Bundesliga away team. They had 3 draws at that point, and then winning 1-0 at Bayern Munich. And in the Rückrunde, they had a rough time. They won their away match at Cologne, and after that match, there was a streak with 7 winless games, and they last that infamous 0-5 defeat, making Leverkusen the champion for the first time. Just to beat Stuttgart 1 week later, and those those ups and downs in their performances don't really get into my mind. It's really, really, really hard to me for me to get into this club, to get into this squad, those lads. Why are they so shaky in their performances? So now they are 3 games unbeaten. They won versus Stuttgart and 3-0 at Augsburg, and almost beat Gladbach at home. But this last match, that was not the best way. So they were really, really good versus Stuttgart, and I saw their home game a few weeks ago versus Dortmund too. What they should have won, I think they drew in the end. If I remember. No, they lost 1-2. They lost 1-2. Yeah, it was even worse. They were a better team there, but now there was the worst team versus Gladbach last Saturday. So, well, I would like to tell you what we can expect from our lads and what we can expect from our opponent, but I'm not. I try to show why I am not able to do this week. So of course I can drop some names. Well, Marvin Duksch, 12 goals. Well, this is
not bad.
Not
decent.
Even more. I think it's impressive. It's he doesn't have teammates in that level like Stuttgart, like Undaf or Girassi has. And Or look at Leverkusen. I think Boniface and Florian Wirtz are those the best goal scorers in Leverkusen squad, and they have 12 goals as well. And I think no one would disagree that there are lads who provide them with the balls to convert them into goals, much higher talented than the lads from Bremen are.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, Marvin Duch, we have to keep an eye on him. And as always, Leonardo Bittencourt, I mentioned this on our show in the Hinrunde. I'm a big fan of him. Maybe because I saw his father playing, and he was born in Leipzig. And but I have absolutely no idea, and I don't have really a feeling what we can expect, as I told. And yeah, if you now maybe ask me what I expect for result,
Hey, what do you think the score is going to be?
I have to think about it. Well, no, I've got absolutely no idea because what should we expect from our lads? We talk the season is over and now the cohesion is maybe this not at that level we saw in recent weeks. I think everything is possible here. From an convincing 2-0 win, which is never really in danger, but a home defeat wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, it's a strange one, but if I just go with my gut feeling, and I cannot explain why, I'm going with a 2-0 win.
I'm going with a 2-all draw.
Okay, sounds great. Who is going to be left now to be playing that last home match in front of our crowd and me in Sector D?
Liebe Fußballfans, wir kommen jetzt zu unserer heutigen Mannschaftsaufstellung. Wie immer beginnen wir mit unserem Torhüter, unser Mann mit der Rücke Nummer 1, Peter! Rücke Nummer 2, Mohamed! Rücke Nummer 4, Willi! Rücke Nummer 6, Elif! Mit der Nummer 7, Dani! Mit der Nummer 8, Amadou! Mit der Nummer 13, Nikolas! Rücke Nummer 17, Luis! Rücke Nummer 22, David! Rücke Nummer 23, Castello! Und mit der Rücke Nummer 30, Benjamin!
Okay, Gulashi still unbeaten since he returned into our goal, will be the goalkeeper, of course. And then I expect Coach Rosen to change the position in the right back because there are some rumors that Sima Khan has this release clause in his contract. So maybe he should get some chances to show what he's able to do, and maybe lure some financial powered clubs in Europe into the RBL territory to maybe put on this 70 or 60 million or whatsoever the club demands for him, so that he can transfer in the summer. So and then Benny Hendricks, he has his new contract on the table, but seems not willing to sign this. So I would change Simakan for Hendricks here. And then Orban, Lukeba, Raum, Seibald, Haidara. And then Mr. Elif Elmas. I'm a big fan. Elmo, Shesko. And of course, 24 goals, goal, Panda.
Okay, we will see if Marco's following suit or if he has a different idea and he pulls a rabbit out the hat. But it does it still sounds like a team that should beat SV Werder Bremen. Even if it is towards the end of the season, it's going to be a nice crowd. We're going to be supporting them. But I expect a lot of fans from Bremen to arrive, and they're going to be a lot noisier than those Borussia Dortmund fans who were not the ones of the active scene. Of course, we're going to get all the insults, all the abuse from the Werder Bremen Blaues. But always remember, was ist grün und stinkt nach Fisch? SV Werder. Look it up, then you know what it means. Thank you very much, Richard. that actually concludes our special Father's Day episode in this hemisphere. It is Father's Day today, but when we push this episode out, it'll probably be Friday. So it's past Father's Day. Thanks very much for listening. This has been RBLE Global Tracks. And if you like our episode, if you like our podcast, kindly subscribe to it onto your favorite platform. You can also leave us some comments, maybe a review, tell us what we can do better. And you can also send us an email at the email addresses talktous@rbleglobaltracks.com. We're also on Twitter. Our username is @podcast_RBL. Thank you, Richard. Have a nice evening. I'll talk to you soon, guys. Keep your fingers crossed for a very nice game on Saturday. 3 points would be great. It is just what the lads deserve. And if you go out and support the team, we'd be really grateful. And if it's over the TV, maybe we can hear you. You just have to yell really loud. So all we need to say now is thank you and auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs!